Just to recap then, there's a lot of data out there that goes into sport being a good positive influence, like development on kids, and martial arts as well, but few that specifically focus on BJJ. So that's what we're trying to do here, go into that. How long has Eddie been training for? When did he join?
So he joined, he's probably been doing it 6 months, maybe 6, 7 months. He didn't start straight away when I joined, when it opened. So yeah, maybe a bit longer. 7, 8 months, right?
Okay, cool. And have you seen like any changes in his confidence since he started here? It can be off the mats, it can be on the mats.
Yeah, I think so. We noticed a big slide in his confidence during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So when he was, obviously everyone was isolating, we weren't getting out. When he went back to school, and then he was going back to play football as well. Going back to that, his confidence was like shot. He would feel like be hiding behind our legs and things like that. He was like falling a bit. And then started coming here and bits and pieces about like how you use your voice and just being asked to demonstrate things or being asked questions and speaking up in the group. His confidence definitely started ramping up.
Brilliant.
We definitely see it on the mats. Like, you know, they compare the number of stripes and tabs and things and belts and standing the line, starting to lead each other, having the word of the week as well as a focus. I think all those sorts of things bring, that sort of confidence out of him.
Mm-hmm.
Lets him be. He's a lot more expressive. It's definitely noticeably improved.
Brilliant. And obviously you touched on the progression in terms of like getting your stripes and stuff, little bits of recognition that he's progressing. Have you noticed, the professor talks about delayed gratification being quite important for them.
Yeah.
Have you noticed how that sort of maybe influenced him in any way?
Yeah, well, I know that we've had conversations about him turning up and, he's tired at the end of the school day and does he want to come? And there's a little bit, we've had the conversation, me and him, where he said this is actually just part of your week. So if you gave the kids the choice, like, what do you want to eat for tea? Everybody would eat ice cream every day, and nobody would eat broccoli. But just say that this is part of what you do, and then when that comes, the realisation that a stripe is on the back of turning up and concentrating and listening and being a good person as well as being good at the sport or learning the techniques or whatever, being able to add those bits up. The aim is that hopefully it transpires that in every other part of his life he's going to apply that sort of mindset too. But it's sort of started here, and it's the easiest way because it's measurable in the fact that you turn up for a certain period of time and there's a stripe at the end of it, and then you keep going, there's another stripe, and there's going to be somebody that's ahead of you, there's going to be people that are behind you. But hopefully that's something that you can get into.
Exactly.
His schoolwork and his football and all the rest of it.
Brilliant. And you've just touched on a really valuable thing there in terms of how that can transfer into his life outside, like acquiring life skills such as perseverance, discipline. Have you noticed, like, confidence-wise, obviously at home maybe, or anything improve there?
I think something that's come out of this, and one of the things that we try and instill in him is resilience. And I think the age that they're at, like, emotional resilience is unlikely to develop at this age. It's not something that they can be aware of, but his physical resilience, and it's not a case of like, be tough, don't cry, but just realising that it's a bump and it will go away, or that here you can get out of that position, or it's actually not going to be the end of the world.
Yeah.
And being at a 7 out of 10 discomfort, that's something you can endure and come out the other end of. There are things that he's definitely picked up here that I don't think he would get anywhere else.
Yeah, I think that's huge. Learning to be uncomfortable. Being comfortable with being uncomfortable, basically. You touch on emotional self-regulation. Maybe a little bit too young to notice stuff like that. What about the physical side of it? Have you noticed? Because in the warm-up and stuff, we're doing the crunches and stuff, like good at ab workouts and that. Have you noticed that he's come on physically or since?
Yeah, he's shot up. And I guess it's all like natural, isn't it? It's like what you're sort of born with at this stage. But his ability to move is improving. He did a bit of gymnastics before. but he moves really well. His coordination's good. There's quite a lot of learning left and right as well. Like you grip with this hand, or you grip with that hand, or you want to move on to that hip or the other hip. So like his coordination, sort of spatial awareness as well. He practices with his younger brother and sister. So I mean, they're on the rough end of that, but. Yeah, I think it's something it's only going to be a positive, and it rolls into everything. There's like the discipline side of it, learning a sport and a skill, but also the self-defense side is really important. And then some of the situational awareness lessons that come across from Professor Mike, like how to respond to this sort of situation, that sort of situation, and as well the fact that it's not like a striking sport, that there's not really, nobody's going to get hurt. But if you're put in that situation, then there's a way of getting out of it. So I think he's really developed in those aspects, and he loves it. I think there's really good role models here. There's older kids that are involved in the junior leadership program. Like Professor Mike, Coach T, himself. They're people that he wants to impress, and also from a parenting point of view, he doesn't want to let down. So you can always use that. Like, do you think this sort of behaviour would be acceptable if we were in the academy? No. Okay.
That's really good. Yeah. I mean, on a personal note, I've just like his attitude's always been second to none. Absolutely spot on. You put him with any partner, no complaints at all. Always just very disciplined on the mat. First one to technique line. Even improvements in his technique since he's becoming. I think that associates with his attitude and stuff. Just a final one. I think what's different and maybe is good about this academy and other academies similar that you won't get from maybe it's like a football team or a rugby team is how we talk about the word of the week. So we'll introduce like inspiration or discipline or like community, and we'll try and explain what those things mean to the kids. So you're sort of getting like a philosophical kind of lesson that you won't necessarily get in schools or anywhere else. Could you say that? Do you think that's important? Or?
Yeah, I think he thinks about that as well. I think this place has more of an impact than 2 or 3 45-minute sessions a week. Like it definitely goes through the rest of the week that he's thinking about it, or there are situations where it'll just spring up, and whether we're watching another sport or we're out or whatever, then it's on his mind all the time, and he'll think. It was the other day actually when it was really windy, the recycling bins all blew over, and we went out and we picked up a couple of neighbours' bins. We tidied it all up, and then we came in that Saturday morning. We came into his class, and it was community was the word of the week that week, and he put his hand up and spoke up, and it was like the confidence to speak up, the ability to connect the two, and the knowledge that that's actually a good thing. That's something that we do want to develop, that we look after our neighbours and all that sort of stuff, which came out during COVID and was trying to extend it. But I think developing good people is, you could have a Jiu-Jitsu academy or a martial arts academy, and you create good fighters. If you give somebody the tools and they're not a good person, you create a problem. Yeah. Whereas you create like a community where you're developing people through this sport, all these set skills, then that's like the main goal for this area. And I think one of the reasons that the academy is here and Professor Mike started it, so he definitely gets that side. We try and reinforce that side, and we still see it's important. And not everybody's going to be a black belt competitor. People do jiu-jitsu for different reasons. So it's just that he keeps enjoying it, but then that means he'll keep turning up, and that it gets this out.
Perfect. Can you think of anything that hasn't been touched upon that have known so far, or that hasn't been touched upon in the interview? Yeah. Can you think of anything like? I mean, you don't mind if you can't. We're coming to the end now. So
the only thing we've got 2.5-year-old twins. When they're 3, they'll turn up. And I think the big thing about Jiu-Jitsu is that it's not an aggressive martial art. And for one of the twins is a girl, so for my daughter, I think it's the ideal thing to learn, because you don't necessarily want to teach her striking, because that's potentially futile. But if you can teach the ability to control, choke, etc., etc., that she's confident enough that she knows some of those skills. It's the same for boys, but boys are more likely to go and fight as kids and it be sort of a 50-50. Whereas the development here and then the split, like the gender split, is really pretty balanced, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Like how many young girls, young women, and like our female adult members are going to develop these skills and have that self-confidence. I think that's where it's like really strong.